What is a vector? A vector is something that has length and direction. In this tutorial, we are going to look at vector 1. Welcome to Improve Academy. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe. Now, let's visualize it on a Cartesian plane. You can see that we have the y-axis and the x-axis. Now, I can draw a vector on a Cartesian plane. Now, I see that I have a vector from O to B, that's length, and that arrow shows it's going upwards. And also I can write a vector OA starting from the origin. I see that it's from O to A, and that arrow showing that it's going upwards. Now let's distinguish between types of vectors. There is the position vector and the displacement vector. Let's distinguish these two vectors. Now, looking at position vectors starts from the origin going somewhere. They always start from the origin. Let's look at it on the Cartesian plane. You see that we have point O, then from O to B. From O to B, it's a, and also O to C, it's a position vector because they all start from the origin going somewhere, and all these are position vectors. We can also look at other position vectors. We can say OA. That's also a position vector because it emanates from the origin. Now on the right hand side, I have displacement vectors. Displacement vectors, they are little different from position vectors. In this case, we are now not starting from the origin. We are starting from somewhere, going somewhere, but not from the origin. You see that I am coming from A to B, not from the origin. If you are not coming from the origin, now that's not a position vector. It's now a displacement vector. You see? Now we can spot the difference between position vectors and displacement vectors. Now let's look at how position vectors are denoted. They are usually denoted by OB, meaning O meaning the origin. Let's say OB, 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 and OA, OA, and OC, OZ. This means we are starting from the origin. These all represent the origin. Now, let's move on to displacement vectors. Now, they are usually denoted by AB. There's no O here on displacement vectors. BC, BC. You won't see an O on displacement vectors. Then you can also denote them by saying AD. We can also denote them saying AD and let's say AC. That's displacement vectors. You can now clearly see the difference between displacement vectors and position vectors. That's the difference. Now let's look at how you can calculate displacement vector. I'll show you the trick that you can do to calculate displacement vectors. Let's say you asked to find AB. You put a blue arrow on top and then two opposite arrows. Those are two red arrows going in the opposite direction. Now you can put an O between AB, that red O on AB, and you can say if you are going the same direction with the blue arrow is positive OB, and if you are going the negative direction OA, the opposite, the blue arrow, you can say negative OA. And we said positive OB, then you can write positive OB. Then you can rearrange these vectors starting by OB. Then you can say OB minus OA, OB minus OA. Let's have an example for calculating displacement vector. We are given OA is equal to 302, OB is equal to 201, and we are asked to find AB. I can write AB, then write AOB, and the blue arrow and two opposite red arrows. I'm going the opposite, the blue arrow OA. I can write minus OA, and the other is going the same direction with the blue arrow, then it's plus OB. Now let's rearrange. We will get OB minus OA is equal to 201 minus 302. Then 2 minus 3 is equal to negative 1. 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. 1 minus 2 is equal to negative 1. Then we are done for calculating displacement vectors. Looking at how we can calculate the dot product, there is this concept called dot product. Dot product. Let's say we are given OA is equal to 102, OB is equal to 312. If we want to find the dot product for OA and OB, the dot product for OA and OB, we will say 102 dot 312, 312, 312. Then 1 will multiply with 3, 0 will multiply with 1, 2 will multiply with 2. Let's do it, and I will put 3 brackets, 1 multiplied by 3 in the first bracket, 0 multiplied by 1 in the second bracket, and 2 multiplied by 2 in the third bracket. Then I will get 3 plus 0 plus 4 is equal to 7. That's the dot product. Now, let's calculate the modulus. The modulus is the size or length of a vector concerning vectors. If we are given vector x, y, z, the modulus is equal to x squared plus y squared plus z squared. Let's do an example for calculating the modulus. The modulus of OA. If we are given OA equal to 102, the modulus is equal to, the modulus of OA is equal to 1 squared plus 0 squared plus 2 squared, which will give us root of 5. That's the modulus. That's the length for OA. Now, what is a unit vector? A unit vector is something that is a magnitude equal to 1. A vector that is a magnitude equal to 1. A unit vector, we can find it by saying the vector over the magnitude or modulus. That's a unit vector. Let's do an example for calculating the unit vector for OA is equal to 201. The unit vector is equal to that vector 201 over the modulus for OA. Now, we can find angle between two vectors. Let's say we want to find the angle between AOB. We say cos AOB, then put two arrows going the opposite direction. Then is equal to dot product of OA and OB over the modulus of OA times the modulus of OB. That's the angle between two vectors. Let's look at how vectors can be represented. We have the coordinate form, the column form, and the vector form. The coordinate form, they will be represented as OA is equal to A, then opening brackets 201, and then closing brackets. Then column form will be 201, and the vector form will be a little different because we will be starting with I, J, and lastly the K. So the I will be multiplying the 2, then the J will be multiplying the 0, and the K will be multiplying the 1. Then we'll denote it is 2I with we take them with their signs. 2I plus 0j plus 0j, and lastly 1k plus 1k, which is equal to k only. Then we'll be left with 2i plus k. Thank you for watching. This is the end of the tutorial. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share.